This is
Oh,
the greatest track of the 1980s. That's
oh,
it, period, full stop.
we agree. We're track two on the album, Matt, two tracks in, and I'm already gonna say it. This track is my favorite from Make It Big.
Yes, same. This is my favorite, pound for pound, my favorite Wham George song. I think that if you ask me, and there's a lot of songs I absolutely love from that decade that are just my favorite go-tos, but this is quite possibly and a song like, let's say, Father Figure later on, which we talk about on my show. Shirley Lewis, who is on my show with me, was the only other singer on Father Figure besides George, which to
Wow.
me still gives me the chills every time I talk to her, because I'm talking to somebody on that record. It still blows my mind. But that song is a perfect song from a structural and just an execution standpoint. Everything She Wants is very much the same to me. Yeah, it sounds like 1984. I get that, but to me, that is the 80s. That is the song of the decade for me personally. It's my very favorite.
The beat, the introduction, that sort of, and the lyrics, a baby on the way, and this guy's sort of like trapped in this relationship, and you're sort of,
Yeah,
working hard to support his family, and he's feeling trapped. I guess
right.
a lot of guys can relate to that situation.
Yeah, I never found myself quite in that situation like that, but I know a lot of folks who have, and I know kind of how that goes, and there's a feeling of pressure as being young and being married. I was young and married at one time, and feeling pressured to, if my best isn't good enough, then how can it be good enough for two? And then later on, I have another son, so four. So I get it. It's amazing that for George, who clearly wasn't in that lane in life, with men, women, doesn't matter. But he wasn't certainly looking to be a father or worried about that. But
Hmm.
but having the ability to write about something that you weren't necessarily firsthand part of, but writing about it in a very accurate and eloquent way, that's amazing. And it's like I listened to Billy Joel one time talk about a song called Good Night Saigon. And he was like, I didn't go to Vietnam, but I knew people who did. I knew the story, and I knew I could make that into
Song.
something that would make sense. And George wasn't sitting there in the bed with his wife, and a baby on the way. And he wasn't doing that, but he could write about it and make you feel it. Amazing.
Incredible song. I mean, he had the backing track first, and then he did the lyrics around it the following day, apparently. So
Hmm.
the single was the final single from the album, and it was double A side with a certain Christmas song, which we're going to get to later on. But the single version is a bit different to what's on the album, and the long remix has, and this is why I love 12-inch mixes so much, because when they're done well, when you get extras, when you get
Hmm.
extra vocals, extra production, that's the 12-inch I want. One of my favorite remixes is also What a Feeling by Irene Cara. For the same reason,
Hmm.
there's extras, there's more vocals, there's more production. This is how a remix is done, should be done, like a 12-inch mix, in my opinion.
And sometimes if you're listening to it on satellite radio, or if you hear it on the radio station, you'll hear the full version, and you're like, oh, and you keep singing, how could you settle for and then you go into that whole section.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when you're on the radio, it jumps where it's not that, it's the radio edit. And I always feel cheated. Like, no, no, it's one of those things. So it's such a great mix, and there's a couple different ways that he sang it over the years. Careless Whisper did this as well, where like in concert he'll come out and he'll sing it a cappella,
Yeah.
just the first part, somebody told, and there's the band just kind of playing very low, and it's just him, and it's just spellbinding. And I remember seeing that on a video. He did it at Rock in Rio, I think it was,
Oh,
and
yeah.
came out and just sang the first part just by himself, and just, I mean, owned it. And then years later, I saw him. The only time I ever saw him in concert, I saw him in Dallas, Texas, and there wasn't the big walkout catwalk into the audience in North America shows, but he came. I was like third row. He comes right out 20 feet from me, and I don't know the song order because I didn't want to cheat myself by looking it up. And he starts in, somebody, and I just lost it. I was just screaming my head off like I was an 8-year-old kid again because it's amazing how he does that. And when you get sort of those versions on the radio, it's just like heaven on earth.
When they did the song, the opening this with the final concert, this was the song that
Mhm.
opened the whole concert with. And
Yeah.
that long intro, I thought, is this ever going to end? It just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah. He realized the power of the great lyric, I don't know what the hell you want from me, but he also realized that the value of that as an intro, slower and more drawn out and really feeling it, and then going into the music. He realized that and just owns it. It is my favorite thing. And if I hear it on the radio or if I play it on the radio,
Crank it
please
up.
believe I crank it up, I roll the windows down, and I sing. I don't give a damn who sees me.
The video for the song is a concert sort of footage, black and white video, and the beginning of George with a stubble.
He kind of revolutionized the look there at that point.
Yeah.
It's so clean and baby faced in '84 with the go-go video, and then comes back with that and has the designer stubble and just looking amazing.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was about that, that I loved, was the Netflix documentary last year that had the extra parts from the video that I'd never seen before.
Yes.
And it was one of those things where I never realized how much I knew it. I mean, I know every frame of that video, and then you see it in color, and it's a little bit odd. You're like, wait a minute, what is this? And it's so different, even though it's the same exact thing you've seen a million times, just colorized. It was a trip. It was so much fun to see.
This was kept off number one in the UK because obviously in the UK it was double A side between that and Last Christmas. But in the US, it was number one in the US and Canada and Iceland, number two in the UK, four in Norway, five in Austria and South Africa, six in New Zealand, seven in Australia, eight Germany, and nine in Belgium. 138 million streams on Spotify. That's going to be
Not nearly enough.
not near, I was going to say.
Not nearly enough. And the thing I love is that Everything She Wants here in the States finally ended the run of We Are the World at number one. So I'm happy about that. I love We Are the World, love all the folks involved in that, love the cause. But by the time that song had been played for 90 million times as a kid, I was ready for it to be over. I was happy Everything She Wants dethroned that song.